It's just a little bit close to 2 o'clock p.m. I was supposed to be arriving at 3, but I shaved 1 hour off completely, like, you know, circumcision style. And check this out. This is my couchsurfing host, Lionel. How are you, Lionel?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good,
Actually,
good.
Both
and
of us.
this is, and oh, both? Yeah, and this is the roommate of Lionel by the name William Blake.
Oh, yeah.
What is New Orleans to you?
Okay, New Orleans to me. Okay, the first thing that comes to mind, New Orleans, very mysterious, spooky.
There's quite a few houses abandoned. As I was driving in,
yeah,
I saw so many houses. What's up with that? Like, what is this? Just this neighborhood? Or is it like...
No, it's a few neighborhoods. A lot of it has to do from, well, there were abandoned homes before Hurricane Katrina, but since Hurricane Katrina, there's a lot of things that changed and took place, and a lot of people were not able to get their property back.
I see.
And also,
has this area been affected?
This area was affected. The whole city was affected. 80% of the city was underwater during Hurricane Katrina.
Right.
And
that was 2005, right?
That was 2005 in August.
Right.
And so basically, a lot of property, since they're owned privately, the city can't just take them over. They're trying to do all kind of things to change this because they're considered dilapidated or not in use, abandoned. So there have been some changes that have taken place. So this is why there are so many houses, because a lot of people didn't come back from Hurricane Katrina, and the city can't find them, and some people don't want to let go of it. So, of their properties. So
I see. And were you born here?
I was born and raised in New Orleans.
New Orleans. All right. And whose art is that? I take it it's yours.
No.
No. Okay.
It's my cousin's.
It's your cousin's.
Christine back now.
And what about you? What are you into? What do you do?
I write.
You're a writer.
I'm working on a book right now.
Oh, okay.
So,
fiction, non-fiction?
Non-fiction.
All right. About what?
I'm working on 2. One is about my experiences in the Middle East, and the other is about traveling, and the importance of travel, what you can learn from traveling and meeting other travelers.
I see. What's the situation with like the probability of hurricanes here?
Well, the probability of hurricanes is very high because the waters are so warm. It's the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah.
And with this cool air that's coming from the Pacific, and when it gets closer to the Gulf, it basically is like fuel for the hurricane. It just makes the storm bigger and faster. And basically the border between Louisiana and Mississippi is like an area where a lot of storms tend to come to, because that particular area is in the delta. It's very, it pulls.
Yeah.
It just pulls.
Briefly,
Louisiana
tell me what...
was basically, it was colonized first by the French, then it was sold to the Spanish, then it was sold again back to the French, and then it was sold to the Americans.
So why is it close to Louisiana?
Because King Louis.
King Louis, the 14th, right?
Yeah, that's what it was named after, because this was a French territory. All this was part of what was called, at one time, the King's Plantation.
Yeah. How old is Louisiana?
Let's see, it was settled here in 1718 or 1716.
Oh,
but
wow.
it was somewhere around there that it was first, New Orleans was first colonized. Right. But you have areas that was here that was colonized before then, because New Orleans was colonized by both ends. You know, it came, eventually you had the colonization that came from the south and the colonization that came from the north. So you had people that was traveling down the Mississippi, and you had people that was traveling up the Mississippi.
I see.
And ever since then, it has become one of the most vital part of the United States, because basically we cut the nation in half. You know, east and west is based upon the Mississippi
River. Yeah. I was at Lionel's place, and today in the morning I received a couchsurfing message from this gentleman, Misha, who is Michael. He's from Russia, from Moscow, but he lives in Atlanta, Georgia. And he says, I'm a filmmaker as well, let's meet up and everything. You know, he's here for a few days. And I said, sure, call me up. So he called me up as soon as I got to New Orleans. And this is his couchsurfing host, Will. Hi, Will.
Hi.
This is the house of...
Fats Domino's, and after Katrina...
Rat's Domino's. Who's a Fats Domino's.
After Katrina,
yeah,
about a week after Katrina, they started asking, nobody knew where he was. And so they sent a boat out here, because this was underwater.
Yeah.
So they sent a boat out here, and he was in the house. water up to his chin.
Yeah.
They broke out one of the windows because I mean they were up on the porch in the boat.
Yeah.
So they broke out one of the windows and pulled him through the window into the boat.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he's like 88 years old, something like that. He's really old. Yeah, he survived. He lives over in West Vigo on the West Bank, actually.
So now this house is not occupied?
It's nobody lives there anymore. They kind of made him buy a nicer house, a really nice house on the other.
So what kind of music does he play?
Do you have any?
Yeah, we'll
Find some Fats music.
It's jazzy, right?
Like Blueberry Hill and I don't know, some of his, he's great.
That's Domino.
Yeah.
He's 80 years old, huh?
I think he's like almost 90. He's old.
Wow.
He's really old. My business partner actually has some pictures in that house hanging out with Fats.
I see.
So it's very, very cool.
Right.
But
So-
he's very shy. Usually I read it. Oh, here you go.
Cry when you said goodbye. Ain't that a shame? My tears feel like rain. Ain't that a shame? You're the one to blame. You broke.
After Katrina, this school, they basically just surrounded it with fencing because they didn't want anybody to get in. The lower 9th Ward is where we're at, and the city basically was trying to seize the lower 9th Ward to sell to businesses. If they keep the schools, the fire department, the police department out of a neighborhood, then people don't have a reason to move back. Because if they can't send their kids to a school that's close by, if they don't have police protection or fire protection, they don't want to live there. And to this day, the fire department in the lower 9th Ward operates out of a trailer because the city's never given them money to buy land and rebuild the fire station. The organization that I work for, Common Ground, we broke into this school because we knew that if the state didn't reopen the school for any reason, whether it was a library, community center, anything, give people a reason to be back in this neighborhood, people wouldn't want to come back. So we broke the fence down, broke into the school, and started cleaning it out. On the top floor, they found a fish that had gotten there from one, because it was completely flooded.
How high was the flooding here?
25 feet.
Is that
So you're saying up to the like
Up almost to the roof.
wow.
Almost to the roof.
It kind of feels
Now,
like we're
it's-
low, doesn't it?
When did it
Maybe we were
recede
just
though?
talking
When did the
about
water
it.
recede?
It took about 3 weeks for the water to go back down.
Yeah.
Maybe, kind of around that. It was a while. It was several weeks before it went back down. Because they had to get people back to turn on the pumps to pump the water back out of the area, that kind of stuff. So when we broke into this, the whole idea was to get it cleaned up. If the state wasn't going to pay to have it cleaned, we would clean it for free. So the first day we came out, we inventoried everything, every piece of paper, every pencil, every rubber band, because we knew that one of their things would be, well, we have to have it all inventoried in order to turn it in for insurance money. So we knew that going into it, so we went ahead and started doing the inventory. The second day, we got a call from the governor's office basically saying, because they called the cops on us to have us arrested.
For like breaking in
For breaking it in.
Yeah, I see.
But in New Orleans at the time, up until after Katrina, the law was cops have to live in the neighborhood that they patrol. So these cops went to this school. They grew up in this neighborhood. There was no way they were going to arrest people who were trying to clean up their school.
Yeah.
So they just sat in their cars and talked with us, gave us water, stuff like that. Well, the next day they told us that the governor's office had basically said that if we didn't get arrested by them, that they would send state troopers in to arrest the local police for not doing their job. And then they would arrest us. So instead, we had all the media out, had a big protest, started negotiations, and worked with the state. And so they finally reopened it as a school. We didn't think they were going to. We thought they would only reopen it as like a library or something.
Yeah. So now
But
it's a functional school.
It's a functioning school.
All right.
Which is good because it's that kind of thing. I mean, you don't want to live here and send your kids 10 miles away to the closest school. And most of the schools in New Orleans were shut down. You know, when we drive up St. Claude, going back, you'll see a school that's under construction. They just started that this year. It's been
7 years
closed
after,
for 7 years, and there's another one like 2 blocks up that still hasn't been touched. You know, so part of the problem they had also was generation after generation after generation, the house is passed down just because they live there.
Yeah.
So they didn't have any title to the house anymore.
Really?
Because it had been like 50 years before, you know, since the last time anybody applied for a new title. And after Katrina, that was one of the things they said, well, if you don't have the title to the property, then you can't have the property. So that started a whole series of legal battles over that.
So now, what's going on? The elite wants to kick out the low-income families out of here and just, you know, start rebuilding everything.
They wanted
anew?
They wanted to. They wanted to seize
Why
the
would they be
property.
interested in this area if it's prone for hurricanes?
Money.
What do you mean?
Businesses have enough money to build their buildings high enough to withstand a hurricane and a flood.
Okay.
Right? So they can afford it, and this is one of the most corrupt states in the country. So
Louisiana?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Well, when the Illinois governor tried to sell.
I thought Alabama was.
No. They're racist. You might want to edit that part.
Okay.
When the Illinois governor tried to sell President Obama's Senate seat, they compared it to being corruption almost as bad as Louisiana.
Holy crappy.
Yeah, and I mean that was like national news, you know, and stuff. But anyway, so since a lot of nonprofits worked with the residents to keep the city from seizing the property, I mean, honestly, the city council passed a resolution not long after Katrina that said, literally, we don't want the poor black people to come back to this town. They can stay wherever they are. While I was working in New Orleans with a nonprofit, the city passed up a government grant of $3.4 million to pay for buses to bus people back from Atlanta, Houston, Alabama, Oregon, wherever they went.
Right.
The federal government was willing to pay for the buses to bring people back home, and the city said we don't need the money because we're not going to do that.
Wow.
So it's all about the money in this town. All about the money. In fact,
So what's the situation? Are the corporations still under force?
We've got a new mayor who's more interested in, you know, rebuilding the town
and preserving its people.
Yeah, preserving the people. The previous mayor is pretty close to being indicted for all of his corruption when he was, you know, pretty much every mayor that New Orleans has had after being mayor for a while has either ended up in jail or had to leave the state or whatever. Yeah,
that's insane.
It's been pretty crazy.
Wow.
So, but it's getting back on its feet. We'll drive through more of the lower 9th Ward. You'll see some weird looking houses. They're called Brad Pitt houses because his nonprofit built them to be self-sustaining. They have their own water supply. They have solar panels on top. And you'll see some regular houses as well. So
Brad Pitt houses? I never heard that.
There was no electricity.
Back 7 years, almost 7 years ago.
7 years ago, about 6 months after Katrina, there was no electricity.
And what brought you here? Like why? Why did you come here?
A friend of mine came down here to check out the schools because he heard that they were giving away free tuition in order to, and you can just drive through wherever you want to, in order to draw students back because they were afraid they lost all their student population. And he came down and saw it and called me up and said, you got to come down here. So he brought me down.
And you came from where again?
From Kansas City.
Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah. So I came down, and when I saw that the government wasn't doing anything, I decided I had to find an organization and stay and help because nobody was, I mean, the volunteers in the different organizations were helping, but the city government wasn't giving any, I mean, hundreds of billions of dollars were given by the federal government to the state to rebuild, and none of it was being spent on neighborhoods like this. Like that's a house that hadn't been touched since Katrina. They've gutted it basically.
7 years, huh?
Yeah.
Why do they gut them?
They gut them because if they don't, they're going to get torn down. They have to show some sort of progress. The owners. The owners. They'll have to have somebody come in to at least show a little bit of.
So at least get rid of the mold.
Right. Right. Because it is a massive health problem if it's not taken care of. You know, they have the conspiracy theories that somebody blew it up or that the barge went through it. Or,
why? Why would they do that?
Well, I mean, you know,
for all this to...
Yeah, everybody's got their theory as to what happened, but, you know, then there's also the, explanation was that the wall was just inadequate. It's built on a sand area, and that the sand just simply eroded and the wall fell down.
Yeah.
But this is the side that it fell down, and it just, I mean, came rushing through this area. That's why there's so many empty places because they were just, in a lot of cases, just lifted up and they'd be moved 3 or 4 blocks away.
So to this day, what's the number of casualties that is like official?
I think it's just under 2,000.
Under 2,000?
Yeah. And I think that's counting people that they don't know if they died. They just have never been able to find them.
Right.
After a while, they just stopped trying.
So when you arrived here, was water still here?
No.
It was already gone, right?
Yeah, he's already gone. The weird houses over here with the solar panels and stuff, those are the Brad Pitt houses.
Because they look like
this particular one?
trailers.
Yeah.
Which one? This gray one?
Yeah.
Right here?
It's a full-fledged house.
Yeah.
This is Brad Pitt.
And he just
Is Brad Pitt from here? From Louisiana?
What happens is the owners of the property have to donate the property to the Brad Pitt organization. In return, they will build them a Brad Pitt house and then charge them somewhere upwards of $1,500 a month to lease it back.
So what's the deal here?
Exactly.
No,
when they
the owners of the property?
Yeah. When they first started doing these, that's why you don't see.
Wow, look how high this is.
That's why you don't.
This
see
one's pretty high.
Like hundreds and hundreds of them. You only see a few here and there, because
This is also Brad Pitt, right?
This is a Brad Pitt house. When they first started doing it, when they were talking about it, everybody thought he was going to come in, raise a bunch of money, and build houses for them.
Yeah.
And that they would either get them a discount or free or whatever, but that it was like a charitable thing.
Yeah.
Well, when they actually formed the organization and started putting it together, they made the rule that they had to donate their
banksters,
land.
the banksters got kicked
Yeah,
in,
the
and they
bankers. I
said,
mean, it's a very
you
big
can make it a
money
business,
making.
he said.
Yeah, it's a big money making thing. Well, as you see, not many.
I mean, it's stupid.
I mean, these people owned the property.
so
Own the
okay, so they
houses.
own the property, but after they sign up for this kind of deal, they pay $1,300 a month
Yeah.
to Brad Pitt organization.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yep.
So what's the point of owning that place then?
Oh, there's a.
The fact
one
that
of
you
the
get a new house. This used to be a house and it just floated away. Oh my God.
1801 four-star.
What's with the roofs like pointing like, oh, that's for the solar panels, right?
Well, partially for the solar panels, and Brad Pitt's a architect. He actually went to school for it.
He's an architect?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
That's what he went to school for. He's actually this is the levee wall. Up
This
in
is
front of us.
this is the wall that broke
Yeah.
and let the water come into this area, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's not that tall though. So behind this wall is water right
Yep.
now?
Yep. Well, let's
Of the canal.
take a right, and we'll actually go up on the wall.
So that wall was rebuilt again, anew.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and they didn't have to rebuild all of it because it didn't all fall down. There were just a few sections that fell.
Oh, I see. Just
So
kind of.
Yeah, they just fixed the sections and kind of.
These are the pumps.
Yeah, these are some of the pumps in town.
So they pump the water back into the canal.
Right.
So you can have.
We'll just drive right up here and get out. I wouldn't go over there. It gets a little steep.
So where's the water though?
Right there. That's the river right there.
The wall is not strictly against the water.
Right. Most levees are that way. They have like usually a good 100 yards or so before it gets to the water, so that when the water comes up, it'll come up and come up and come up and eventually get to
The wall.
the wall. Yeah. And that's why this is built up here, because we're at the same height of the wall, and it kind of just, this corner here, it holds it in.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And then, I mean, you see like over here, we've got the pump system and a bridge. That bridge goes up like that.
Yeah.
But you see where they've got the big cement, they can put a cement wall over that, which then seals the wall that way.
I see.
So, yeah.
So at some portion of this wall, it just corrupted and just let the water in.
Yeah.
I
About
see.
halfway down that way.
So that was because of the hurricane that was like...
Well, it wasn't because of the hurricane, it was because there was so much water. 25-foot wall of water hit Lake Pontchartrain and out by Bogalusa, and that caused it to fill up, and so then the water started spilling over into the canal, which turned it into more of a raging, like, force.
Yeah.
And that, of course, the canal started filling up, and the river was already full from all the other canals dumping all the extra water into it. All the pumping stations, or most of the pumping stations, failed because they just left town. So there was nobody there to monitor them. My understanding is now they actually have apartments built at the pumping stations so that they can stay there, stand the hurricane, and be able to still control the pumps should anything happen. They have refrigerators and beds, turn it into a whole apartment is what my understanding is. But now the law is...
Oh, look, the wall going up. I mean, the bridge.
Oh, cool. I was told by a local resident that it was actually a sunny day when all this shit started happening. Because the hurricane had already passed. It was the wall of water that hit, started causing all the water to flow, started causing the flooding here. Which honestly, the fact that it flooded this way saved that neighborhood, the upper Ninth Ward. Because if this would have withstood, the levee over there is just slightly shorter, at least it was shorter than this one. So as it was filling up, it would have started flooding over there, and it did. But then this wall broke, and that relieved the pressure. So
Let in,
kind of let it come down a little bit.
Desire Street. So if you ever desire anything, you come to Desire Street. Why are the graves like this?
Because the water table's too high. They can't dig under the ground to bury people, so they bury them all above ground. You see how they?
So all of the people are essentially inside these little.
Yeah, you see how they have a whole bunch of names.
It's a tomb. It's called a
tomb. Yeah.
Sarcophagus.
Less privileged people.
Less privileged people are actually buried.
Yeah, but they
In the
have to
ground.
build that they're dead to bury.
Wow.
The ones that they have a lot of names on them, they're all buried in that same tomb. They put them in. After a year, they can bury another person. What they do, there's a hole in the back of it.
Yeah.
And they just push the bones, and they fall down into the hole.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Ledge stops like right about here. And when it's time to do the next body, they can just push, and the bones fall down underneath. And then they can put the next body on top.
So it's like it's almost limitless in a way.
Well, yeah.
Until the bones kind of pile up. And
I guess if you push the body and it doesn't go under, it's time to get another one.
Look at this. So they knew that this is like high flood area even way back, like
well, yeah, all they have
1800s,
all
right?
you have to do is get it all. You get water. Voodoo and Catholicism mixed is really big down here because there were a lot of superstitions during the slave eras, a lot of voodoo during that time.
Yeah.
So for Halloween they have a big, huge voodoo fest. They have a music festival, it's a voodoo fest, but then they also have like voodoo dancers and stuff like that around town. So it's a pretty big deal.
So Mardi Gras, what is Mardi Gras?
Okay, Mardi Gras, it's Carnival.
Oh, okay.
Carnival. It's yeah, I don't know how to say it any different. But they celebrate it here. It's actually a holiday here in Louisiana.
One day only?
Well, they celebrate it for 6 weeks. 6 weeks before Mardi Gras Day. Mardi Gras Day is the day before Ash Wednesday, which is Catholic holiday. In New Orleans, especially Louisiana, but New Orleans, they start 6 weeks before Mardi Gras. And they'll have maybe one parade a day. As it gets closer and closer, they'll go to 2 parades a day, then 3 parades a day, then 4 parades. Then you'll start seeing the schedule be like first parade at 8 a.m., second parade starts at 9 a.m., which is right after the first parade. Third parade is at 10, then 11:30, then 12, 2,
And what
3,
happens at the
4.
parade?
They have dancers, they have live music, they have, I mean, it's a parade, it's a parade.
You throw the girl the beads, is that right?
Yeah.
And she shows you her breasts.
What do you get beads though?
Well,
You
can buy them. You can, if you stand at a parade, you'll get them at the parade. If you show your boobies or other various body parts, you might get beads as well.
If you have beads, then
Men too.
you have.
Oh yeah, yeah. Men don't have to show their boobies.
So when
It's a
they
different
like,
part that they get.
who inspired this? Like what?
Jesus.
Jesus.
Yeah, he was a party animal, man. I mean, he did the water into wine.
Yeah.
What can I say?
Guess what, guys? You know what this is? It keeps the flies away. It's got vinegar.
Soda's on the other side of my.
What does it have?
And they all go, I haven't had any problems with it coming out.
You see the bottom over there?
Yeah.
And the water is to keep the flies away.
Really?
Yeah, we have some killer flies out here.
Apple cider and vinegar
Apple cider
mixed together
mixed in water.
and mixed with water. What's the ratio?
It's about half and half.
Half and half.
Half and half.
And it just keeps them away.
Once they get the smell of the vinegar,
They can't come here.
they go away.
That's amazing. What is this called?
Huh? Jambalaya.
Jambalaya, jambalaya. All right.
Jambalaya maker right there. He's a jambalaya maker.
You're the jambalaya maker.
I want to ask you a question.
Who invented jambalaya?
What are you afraid for?
My frame is wearing me.
The little area that says the theater.
Theater.
The theater. That had a band sat in that.
Yeah.
That was actually in a lot right on the other side of the railroad tracks.
And they moved it here.
It burned down.
Oh.
No, they didn't move it. They just recreated it.
I see.
Everything that you see here around this area is a recreation of all of the historical territory of Westwego.
What's the story of Westwego?
Well, this was the story of basically how it's got its name. This was out the West Bank. This of New Orleans was the last trading post before you head out west.
Yeah.
You know, at one time this was the last trading post before you hit Texas.
Yeah.
So people had to get all their supplies and everything to go out west. And at that time, that's where most of the emphasis of migration was heading out west. And so it was a saying that came up with it, "West we go." And that's how it got its name, from that saying, "West we go." That after you reach there, the only thing else for you to do is go out west. So that's how that's.
So that's the last place
At one
before you
time.
start heading out
At one time,
west.
yeah.
And they call it West We Go. So the word parish is used
to
instead
identify.
of county
Right.
in Louisiana.
Yeah, because we under Napoleonic law.
Yeah.
We're the only state in the Union that's under Napoleonic law. Because Napoleon sold America, sold Louisiana to America.
He was the one.
Yeah.
Look at that. So parish literally means county.
Yeah.
And do you think there's relation to the word Paris?
I don't know. I couldn't
Like
say that there's
in France, Paris, you know?
I couldn't tell you that.
So Cajun, can you tell me what Cajun is? What is
It's basically French descendants that came down not during the colonization of Louisiana, but came down after Napoleon was defeated from Acadia. You know, so they came down from up north, and
Some of them came down from Canada, didn't they?
yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot
like
of
Quebec kind of area?
yeah. Some of them came from as far away as
That's
Canada,
where
but
the
a lot of
majority of it.
yeah, a lot of French
Of your
influence.
Cajuns.
Right.
But like I said, it was a difference between the Cajuns and because we was already a former French colony.
Yeah.
A lot of Cajuns felt like Napoleon betrayed them because they gave their allegiance to Napoleon, and Napoleon could have easily given this to them, where this could have been their country.
Right.
You know, but
he sold
instead
it,
he
yeah.
sold it to America.
Yeah. Are there still people, French-speaking people in New Orleans?
Oh,
Yeah.
not
Well,
not per se in New Orleans as much as it is in the bayous.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
You need to watch Swamp People.
Swamp
Yeah,
people?
yeah.
It's a documentary?
It's a it's a reality TV show, and it's for real. They're not playing. They're for real.
Look at that.
A lot of them are the Cajun people.
You know, that learned how to live in the bayous. When I was coming up, most of this area here was bayou.
I see toads all the time.
Look at that tree frog. This is a tree frog. A tree frog. You see that? It's jumping around.
Here, let's see. Yeah, it totally is. Don't jump into my wine cup.
Look at that. Tree frog.
Oh, he's
They're
very
harmless, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're
Big jumps, huh?
He's very cute. Look at him.
So shiny, huh?
Listen, I can't see you if you
And
go
this
back.
is Caroline, guys.
I can't see if you go back that way.
How do we call him? Does he have a name?
Gregorio.
Gregorio. Hey, Gregorio. How are you today? We are here harmless. Hey. Gregorio,
Oh, look at him.
where are you going?
Oh, look at him.
You're a climber too.
Oh, he's awesome.
Look at him. Where is he going?
Look up this
He's-
pole.
He's climbing the pole.
Look, he's good at it.
Look at that, huh? He's like a ninja. See a ninja?
And now I'm going to introduce you. If you come around, Caroline.
Lynn.
All right. Caroline? Caroline?
Yes.
Caroline.
Hi.
This is Caroline, everyone. I just met this wonderful human being. She has been living here for 3 years. 3 years, and she loves it like there is no tomorrow. We're gonna go dance to, what was that? Like you said
Brass.
something. Brass. Yes. But they
Or
want to
blues.
ban it. Brass or blues or reds.
Well, they want
or
to ban it on the street, which is a total New Orleans cultural thing, and they want to ban it on the street past 8 o'clock, which is BS.
Exactly.
We're not going to
Accept that.
But it's one of the most beautiful things, and it's one of the reasons why I love to be here. So.
And you're originally from Ohio, Toledo.
Yes, Ohio.
Toledo. And people there compared to people here are day and night, according to you.
Yes.
And you play accordion as well.
I play
Once.
trumpet.
You play that like
Yes. This kind.
all right.
Trumpet, but
so,
dancing is my passion.
all right, dancing, and it's kind of freestyle dancing, right? You said
Yes, it is
freestyle
freestyle.
dancing. All right, here we go for a dance. Today is Tuesday, September 18th, and it's about, what would you say, like close to 1 o'clock or so? Something like that. And guess what? There are 2 more couch surfers who came to Lionel. Lionel is my couch surfing host. And this is Giles. Hi, Giles.
Hi.
How are you?
Yeah, really well.
He's from Britain, he's from London, and he's been to New Orleans for some time. How many times have you been to?
I've been 7 times.
7 times since he was 9 years old. And what is New Orleans to you?
You bastard, you absolute motherfucker. Soul.
It's the
It's
soul.
about community, it's about people connecting, it's about me feeling at home.
I see. All right, and also there is Andrea, who is from Padua, Italy, and this is your first time here.
Yeah.
And what's it like so far for you?
It's nice.
Did you just arrive?
I arrived yesterday morning very early, and I'm leaving tomorrow. Because I on my way. I flew into Chicago. I came down to Mississippi, and now I'm going to Texas and then California, where I'm going to stay for a year in San Francisco.
You're going to stay in San Francisco for
Berkeley,
1 year?
Actually.
Berkeley, college?
Yeah.
You're going to study there?
I'm going to finish my PhD.
PhD in what?
Philosophy.
Philosophy, alright, that's no wonder why you like you would just not let go.
Truthing is an interesting concept.
And why is that this way? You know, alright, Andrea, thank you.
An interesting concept anyway.
Yeah. It is Wednesday, August 19th. Guess what? I'm heading out all the way to the East Coast, which is Jacksonville, Florida. And my couchsurfing host, Jason, is going to be hosting me there. It's about 9 hours driving from New Orleans, which is quite a ride if you ask me. And so what is New Orleans to me? It's an amazing place, to be honest. I mean, one thing I didn't like about New Orleans is the fact that the roads are screwed completely. It's like, you know, it puts Minneapolis and what was that place I was in? Okay, I forget. But nevertheless, there are 3 places, and I think New Orleans beat all of them in terms of like the worst roads ever. And I don't know, like they just don't fix the roads. You know what I just realized? Life in New Orleans is very easy. You know, any person that I ask, like, you know, how do you feel? How are you? And they truly told me what they felt like. You know, they're like, it's a beautiful day. What could be better than this? You know, that would be like really, like every, like, you know, black, white, you know, you name it, like, regardless of race or religion or anything. It was beautiful. And you know what else? They don't have Starbucks there. Like they, you know, it seems like they encourage local business. Like, so there's like a lot of local coffee shops, but no Starbucks. They just, I don't know, maybe Starbucks wanted to open up there, like the corporations and stuff. No Starbucks, no Chipotle, you know, of course, you know, somewhere they had McDonald's and stuff, but, you know, none of the, like, you know, Quiznos or whatever, you know, like those chains places. It's mostly like encouraged for the locals and stuff. So that was refreshing to see, you know. And not too many grocery stores, you know, like anything you would want to buy like in a convenience store, it would be like, you know, not so many of them. Another thing about people in New Orleans is that they're very lively. Like they're not, you know, in cosmopolitan cities like New York or LA or, you know, San Francisco, you name it, you would see a lot of people who are like very, what can I say, they're like sleeping through the day in a way, like kind of like no eye contact, kind of like, you know, like there's somewhat distant. Here people are very lively, you know, like they're like very like, there's something about it, you know, there's something about the climate or I don't know what it is, you know, because that locality inspired jazz, blues, you know, being born there and kind of spread, and, you know, there's so much brass music and the culture is like, it's really lively, you know, people really enjoy what they do, and you're not judged, you know, for what you do. So New Orleans is a really nice place to, you know, even live, not just to visit.
I'm always thinking of you, Paul-G. I tell the world I love you, don't forget your promise to me. You will buy me a house, a car, a diamond ring, oh Paul-G. You are my inspiration, don't forget your promise to me. After all is said and done, you're still the only one. Oh, Margie, here I come.